Tahisha Timmons, owner of Conscious by Us. Together, we're here to fill your Fridays with unscripted conversations that cover the gambit: politics, current events, science, social justice, health and wellness, and more. We're here to elevate the conversation. We're fighting the brain drain one unscripted conversation at a time. So grab your coffee, tune in, and let's dive into another episode of MT.
Oh my goodness.
Hello, Tahisha.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. I am good.
Okay, so what's with our setup here?
Uh,
Why aren't we side by side?
because it said the best for things is a
Well,
uh
let's just keep it
recording
moving.
setting. So
Let's
let's
keep,
just keep it going. Obviously, this is our first live
yeah. So
version.
I'm Melania, and I'm the M in this MT Fridays. And just a quick background and who we are. We are friends that met some couple of years ago while we worked for a consulting company. And we have been fast friends ever since. And on Fridays, we tend to get together and have conversations. And Tahisha was like, we need to record these. So here we are recording everything that comes into our minds. It's like a stream of consciousness. So here we go.
Yes, yes. And like we decided to record these because some of the stuff that we say, I feel like it's really good, but some stuff is not. But anywho, Melania, you are in the lovely state of New York, and there's some happenings in New York right now with the mayor.
You know what? That's skin and grinning. Don't get me started on him. Like, yeah, from the very beginning, I'm in Buffalo. That's in New York City. But the truth of the matter is when he was running for mayor some time ago, I just was really put off by the fact that he was always skinning and grinning, always smiling. I used to live in New York, and I know that, especially since 9/11, right? It's an international city. It's got big city problems. It's got, it's a very serious city in terms of protection and needing somebody strong at the helm. And he just looked too eager to be in the role. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't trust him from the very beginning. And
I remember you said something about not liking people who were too smiley.
I don't. I don't
Not
trust him.
serious.
Here's the thing. There's a difference, and I'll
I
be
can be a
honest with you.
politician.
It kind of tainted me at first with Kamala, right? Because I was like,
Mm.
she's just skinning and no, she's not skinning and grinning. He was skinning and grinning, okay? But I'm like, she's always smiling and laughing, and I'm like, she needs to get serious. This is serious, we need somebody to save our democracy, and But then I realized that that's who she is, right? And I could appreciate that positive energy, right? I was like, now I'm giggling and smiling too. But with him, it was different. It just seemed like I
He
just
seemed like he was gonna sell you something, like
well,
a pastor,
or take a
like he wanted
bribe.
to sell you something or take some money. Like he seemed like he might also do this like that, like, mm,
Yeah,
do I have a bargain for you?
rub
Like,
the hands together, right? Yeah, I,
like
I
there was something swarmy
very,
about him.
very.
But you know what? Hindsight is 2020, right? Like it's always like everybody always weighs in and it's like I never liked that person. I never cared for how they look, whatever they did. I didn't pay a lot of attention to him. I just first I was like really happy that there was a black mayor like in New York. Like
Yeah,
I was happy. I just feel very disappointed when women or any marginalized group like drops the ball because I feel like, and this is so wrong too, like there's so much weight on the shoulders, like when you get into those positions, and then when the person like kind of like effed it up, like it's like, why? Now it's going to be harder if I want to be mayor. I don't want to be mayor of New York, but it just
yeah,
feels like it makes it harder for the next person
yeah.
because there's no
Well,
grace given.
unfortunately, I know I've been in that position to be the first. He wasn't the first. I think Mayor Dinkins was the
Yeah.
but to be the first in a role as a minority, you often feel the weight of your race on your shoulders, right? If I mess up, there's never going to be another me in this role or any other role here. So I have to, come to the table, and I got to do my thing. And but what is really sad these days, just in terms of our politics and things of that nature, that character doesn't matter. Like, you're in one of the most prestigious cities in the world, right? Why are you taking bribes and but everything goes back to, and I've said it over and over again, Taisha, it's the virus of greed.
Mm.
It destroys our minds and makes us do things. The virus of greed and power, it makes us do things that you're in a position that a lot of folks would like to be in, right? But
Yeah.
well, you know what? We're talking about politics, so I got something up my sleeve, a little,
Uh-oh.
a little pebble in my shoe that's aggravating me. Have you seen the Janet Jackson questioning Kamala Harris ethnicity?
No. No,
Yes.
I haven't.
Yes, it was in the New York Times and a few other tabloids, right? So
Mm.
apparently, I think it was Vanity Fair did an interview with her, and they, started talking about politics, and she didn't really want to talk about politics, and then they started talking about Kamala Harris, and she was like, questioning, said something, about you know her father not being black. I heard that her father isn't black, that he's white. And 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 so that just brought up the hackles on my back on so many levels. Number one, we're talking politics. If you're green, purple, yellow, or blue, it doesn't really matter to me at this point. As long as you have some integrity, you got a plan, you can move us forward. But I also get tired, and Black folks don't come for me, but I get tired of Black people questioning your Blackness, right? Either you're too Black, right, or you're not Black enough, right?
What
And
does that
so
even mean? I don't even understand what that means. Like, yeah.
but so it's kind of clear, well, you a light-skinned girl, right? Did
I
somebody ever
am a
question?
Kamala Harris
You
type of
are.
girl, right? Like, I don't talk about it that often. And you and I have dialogued about this because I usually identify as Black. And for a long time, I did say that I was other, check that box, or mixed. But the truth is, I am treated visually when people encounter me as a Black woman. And like, if I'm getting not that I've been arrested, but if I'm getting arrested or a ticket or everybody's running, I'm running with the Black people because, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm gonna fail the paper bag test. Like, and no one is going to treat me. I'm not going to be able to be like, hold on, let me get my phone, let me show you a picture of my mom, and let me show you a picture that proves that she is my mom and just not some Jewish lady standing next to me. And I say Jewish lady because my mom doesn't really identify as white. Like, though she is white, I try to, like, I'm like, mom, you're like white, like anybody looking at you until you open your mouth and start talking with like a very Jewish New York accent. And they're like, oh, this lady's Jewish. Like, but for most of my life, if she wasn't near me or like if she didn't come up, people, like, my hair's in braids right now, but when it is free and loose, it is like a huge frow. So like nobody, maybe for my ass, I have kind of a flat ass. Um, but these are like stereotype things about Black people. So, but on this, like, years ago, I used to get Indian, like, um, and like Middle Eastern, when my hair was like when I was doing the Brazilian straight hair, like, and I also think I was trying to pass for something else
Mm.
because there was such a shame. Um, there was almost like the shame in being black that it at one point I admit this freely that I think I was doing a lot of hiding when I was younger,
Mm.
like not and there was some, like I felt like maybe I was identifying a little bit more with my mom and not really and trying to ignore the racism that I encountered. Um, and now everybody's going to come for me for like
Well,
sidestepping or shaming or
well,
whatever. But
there's
that
no,
was my experience
yeah, but there's no coming for people because I mean, because this
on this social
podcast is
media.
about really, just really being real.
Yeah,
And I was joking when I said, you light skinned it, but there has been colorism and not only the black community, all around the world.
hmm
And I've heard people who were came from the diverse heritage, a black parent or a white parent who said that they didn't feel fully accepted by the black community or the white community, right? And so I'm tired of us as a community, you know, making people feel bad or not accepted because like I said, you're not black enough, you're not white enough, you're never enough. And so
yeah.
for Janet Jackson to come and really kind of repeating the dog whistle that Trump is putting out there. And here's the other thing that is really getting my goat. Who was the Amber Rose and a few black celebrities who are following Trump? For those people who might feel that they could be influenced by what these people are doing, understand that they're following him not so much that because they believe in his policies. They're following him because he's going to protect their richness, right? Something that you and I don't have, right? And so, I'm also tired of people saying, "Well, I don't know Kamala Harris. Damn it, Google her." I mean, she's been the vice
That's
president for
the,
almost 4 years.
that's the silliest one because like most of us don't know unless it's a local politician. Most of us don't even know anything about our local politicians who have much more impact on our lives in some cases. But like it's such a weird like I don't know her. Like I don't know other people that I feel comfortable voting for. Like it's a strange like why do women have to meet all of these extra hoops? Because I will say it also has to do with her being a woman. Like she's got these layers of oppression that people are so ready to jump on. Like or like the whole like, well, what did she accomplish in the past, in the past while she was serving as VP. Well, technically, she's not the president. So, like, I'm not really judging her by Biden's performance because she's not Biden. Like, she's a VP. And you don't hear that, or I didn't hear those kind of conversations as much with other VPs who have run. Maybe, no, like maybe with Gore a little bit, they talked about like what did he do, but it was more like no, I feel like she's getting a
Yeah, I mean,
harder review
the truth of the
than
matter, oh, I'm sorry. But the truth of the matter is that most people don't know what the vice president does, right? Because they're kind of behind the scenes. And that's any vice president. Mike Pence, did anybody know what, he was doing or what his projects were?
whatever he was doing. Trump didn't like it because he
You know,
tried to kill him afterwards.
you mean like trying to say,
I didn't say
yeah,
that.
well,
Delete.
well, then it's
Nobody
kind
wants
of
to
true,
fend.
right? I mean, like really. I mean, but the vice president role is something that it's not the presidency, and you don't. They're not in the spotlight like the presidency, but like the president. But on the same token, we do have Google. right? You can Google who was she when she was, Attorney General in California. What is her record? She was a senator. I mean, these are things that But if you ever watch Jimmy Kimmel, sometimes he'll do these interviews on the street and ask people about politics and whatever. And the things like, who's the current vice president? They're like, George Washington. I mean, it's. I mean, I'm like, I'm sort of dumbfounded by uh, where we are, as a society in terms of our education. And one of the things, our tagline too, is that we didn't mention MT Fridays. We are addressing the brain drain, one conversation at a time. I mean, the comment that Janet Jackson made, brain drain, right? Just
Sucked all your energy out of you.
Yeah,
I didn't even see it, and I
Yeah.
feel slightly drained because it sounded like she commented and wasn't really that informed.
Yeah. And if
Unless
you're
she was
being
commenting
interviewed,
on,
be informed, and
or say like, I don't know. I
right.
guess like, I'm not well informed. But it's interesting. They're having a lot of celebrity, or they're asking, like the thing right now is like, who are you endorsing? And like, I did see something by Rowan Chapel. I'm not probably saying the name right, but she's like a younger artist, who has won some awards, and she said she wasn't endorsing Kamala, but she was voting for her. Like, and she had some reasons why she wasn't necessarily endorsing her, like giving a celebrity endorsement, which for many people, with the genocide that is ongoing, that the U.S. is a part of, like, I can understand why maybe you are, yes, I'm going to vote, but I'm not necessarily going to throw my all behind like everything that you're doing. So I get that. But she had this comment that it was interesting how much people were worried about how celebrities were voting. Like, and honestly, it's true. Like, you should make your own decision about who you're voting for. It's a very nothing I say, nothing you say should really hold the weight of doing your own research and figuring out who am I going to vote for and why am I voting for this person. And I respect how anybody votes, but don't vote a certain way because some celebrity or some influencer is voting away. Like, I feel like we've stepped away from some of the ownership of how we vote by just like, oh, that person, like, or even the weight that we give to celebrities and them endorsing a candidate. Like, like, it just seems odd. Like, just because I like your music or I like your movies, that doesn't mean that the candidate you're voting for is going to have resonance with everything that I want. So you and I have talked about this. This does feel like a very important election year. Every year is important, but it does feel like there's some things at stake here.
Very, very much. Yes, very much. Well, we've already seen women's rights diminish, and the plan is to take it, a step further and help and threaten the health and well-being of women. But and for Black people in many parts of this country, their voting rights have been messed with, right, to make it more difficult for them to vote. That's only going to get worse because I mean we understand who was in power now or trying to be in power and what his platform is about, right? And so we do. I mean, the fact that we ever witnessed the January 6th, right? Which is, I find it very interesting that so many people are not interested in that. But I think again, part of the brain drain that is a part of this country now is that people are not informed. They don't understand that we don't teach civics in school anymore. We don't teach these things anymore. And so, the importance of an election being interrupted, that's the cornerstone of our democracy.
But, I think that we also have so much on our plates that we're expected to know. There's just so much as human beings that we are tasked with doing that probably we never had to do before. Like, you know, we like you always and you always feel like you have to be hyper vigilant to know everything. Am I being scammed? Do I like with every interaction from dating to buying shit to like making friendships to going outside? Am I going to get a disease from talking to this person at the register who then went, and then you're like, oh my God,
Mm.
should I have worn a mask? Like, where you're I feel like our nerves are like this all the time. And so, like, to know to take time is all these people out here trying to get money, right? Really, we're trying to get money so we can have time to have more time to have downtime to like sit and be able to read some information. And some of us don't even read anymore. Like some
Yeah.
of us get all our stuff from digital media. But that in and of itself is an exhaustive way to get your information. But I do feel like we should be more informed, yet we are doing so much more than ever before. Like,
I get that, but
appointment
I'm
might end with like five different specialists because your doctor now is like, well, I don't do that. Now you got to see these other 10 people.
I get exactly what you're saying, but I think we all as Americans have the responsibility to prioritize our democracy, right? And here's the thing is, what happens in Washington does impact you. Who we put in power does impact you, right? It impacts you personally, each and every one of us. It's not something that happens in a vacuum. And you mentioned a little bit ago about our media. I think one of the things that we need to do is be careful about our media. I created a training the other day, and the Harvard School of Education has created a media rating chart, right? And it rates a myriad of media outlets, the things that your Fox News, your MSNBCs, your CNNs, all Bloomberg's, all across the gambit, and it scores them on reliability, meaning that their information is reliable and true, as well as a bias, where they're biased. Are they left leaning? Are they right leaning? Are they in the middle? And I think that it would be a great exercise. Again, it's Harvard Education, a media chart. For folks to look at where they're getting their information, and a lot of folks young folks are not necessarily into cable news and things of that nature, but to I
They're
would
getting
love
it from TikTok.
they're getting it from TikTok, they're getting it from Reddit. I'd love for them somebody to do because we've become a society where we think somebody's opinion is actually truth. But that being said, but to look at some of these people that you religiously watch, and look at their, they even segment it by who is hosting particular show on a channel, and how reliable and how biased they are. And so I think it's good for us to really try to find balance information that is not trying to inflame us and enrage us, but it's just delivering information so that we can process it. But we owe it to ourselves to take an interest and be, this democracy is based on the three branches of power, but that fourth branch is us. Right? We're supposed to have an active role in our democracy. And I think, going back to whether celebrities should weigh in or not, I think that some of them, they have the influence to help people to get out the vote, right? This is who I'm voting for and I endorse. And it doesn't mean that you have to, but you do need to get off your couch, and get off of your social media, put down your phone, and get up and go vote. That's something that you should do. And if you haven't voted before,
some of them have done it already.
You need to register. But it's not just the presidential race, right? It's our state races. It's our local races. And I can't tell you the number of times that I have walked into a voting booth not aware of, I might know one candidate that I really came to vote for, and the rest is like, Judge, well, and I'm an independent, right? But it's like, well, I'll vote for you in the Democratic line, so I'll boom, 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 right? And I don't necessarily know all the candidates. So shame on me. Really? But,
You know what? Since I have started voting by mail, it has given me the freedom in some ways to like sit and go through each person. And like, this is what I do. I go through like each person on the local level, and like I try to find out about them. I sat and watched the school board meeting to when they had interviewed the candidates, because I didn't know, because like sometimes for local government it'll have names like, you know, Dave for dudes, for dads for kids, like some weird like group. And it's not all like Democrat, Republican, like, you know, Libertarian Party. It's like other names of parties. So like some of them will say like kids first, which like sounds good on paper. And then you like look them up and they're like kids first, no vaccines. And I'm like, no, I can't go with that. Or sometimes I used to, when I was younger, I would just like vote girls down the road. Like I'd be like, your name's Jane, I'm voting for you, ladies in office. And then like I would read Jane is a racist, right? Jane hates black people. And, like, but now you can find that out. There's no Jane in I don't think, on my voting list and where I'm voting from. But like I really, when you say Google it, Google is so powerful. But then it's also not powerful with local level government, because sometimes you Google them and you're like, I still don't know what you stand for. Like, how many town meetings do I have to go to know what you stand for? And then I'm like, I'm a terrible citizen because I should go to the town hall. I'm up in age. I'm going to be a senior citizen. AARP sent me an invitation. Like, I should be up at the town hall like, oh, it's not my taxes. But I'm not, because you know, though I did tune in, it was fantastic, like to watch the online one, and then I got sleepy because I got sleepy at night. In between eating, I told Melania this, binge eating like bad food, and like, you know, watching weird YouTube videos and smoking some of the, not gonna say, inference, though, you know, not as much as before. Yeah, like, but I try to do my due diligence and be like a good citizen. I'm an independent too, but I also feel like the independents don't get a lot of like, because like honestly, I would rather vote for third parties if they were on every ballot. That's the other thing Americans don't know. Not every person is on the ballot in every state. Like, it almost seems like we are one of the few, well, not every country, I'm sure you need to dive deep into your civics, but civics seems less pushed. Like, if you're not interested in it, like, I don't think people really understand how the Electoral College works, or like the three branches, or why like maybe there should be term limits with the Supreme Court. I don't know. Like, or even that some of these things are on the table for the future. Like, you know, that like what are the Democrats have something on the table in the mix about the Electoral College and term limits for the Supreme Court. So like, but do people know that? And is that really being talked about? No, because like secretly, like, and then I'll be done. I'm totally into this conspiracy that the or not the government, but that people want the status quo. The rich in this country want the status quo because they can control it. It's easier to control like an electoral college than it is to control all of us voting and our votes counting. Like, I mean, I could smile and like somebody could bribe me to vote. No one bribes me to vote. Just no one invalidate my vote. But I'm just saying, like, that's why they don't really care about us, because it probably doesn't count.
Well,
it counts, but it doesn't count the same way.
It counts, and we you know, and let me just say this: young people, get out and vote. If you're not registered, register. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but you know,
Write Melania's name in.
No, no, that's not going to save our democracy.
It could.
No, it's not.
She's brilliant.
Vote for. Well, thank you, but I'm not on the ballot. But it's a duty that we owe ourselves and our children, and we're at 30 minutes.
We are. I say vote for the person who really is going to represent your as an individual who's going to represent what you need. Like, don't just vote for like some short-term low taxes thing. I think the social issues are probably the longer impacting issues that are on the ballot than taxes. Limits, climate, like all those things.
All those things. But
we're at time. We're going to go because we would talk forever. We're going to play out this lovely thing. Subscribe if you listened. We know nobody was on here, but this is our first one. We didn't even advertise it. There was like one person on it. I'm going to find them. No, I'm not. Anywho, see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks for joining us on MT Fridays. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share for more insightful discussions every Friday. Remember, the brain drain stops here, so keep the conversation going by connecting with us on social media or visiting our website. Until next time, stay curious and keep filling your mind with knowledge. See you next week, Friday, on MT Fridays.